Ready?
Yep.
I'm ready.
Excellent job. Excellent. Good to everybody. All right, you ready? Very important, I have to hit record.
Right, record sound.
Don't forget. Don't forget. And let's kick off the show.
All right.
Welcome to Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show presented by MyGunDiary.com and Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso. With your hosts, Felix and J. Scott Drake. And now, here they are.
The audience is huge this week.
Massive. It's a sellout crowd today, standing room only. Welcome to another great episode of Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show. I am your host, Felix Mena. Alongside me, my esteemed colleague, master gunsmith, owner and proprietor of Drake Fine Sporting Arms, Mr. J. Scott Drake.
Hi.
You get your own round of applause.
I do?
Too. Yeah.
I'm so
absolutely.
special.
Yeah. Let me tell you what's on the show tonight. Actually, before I tell you what's on the show tonight, of course, we always have to give a big thank you to the sponsor of the show. How cool is that?
Cerakote Southwest.
That makes us pretty much legitimate.
Yeah,
that we have a sponsor on the show. Hey, Straight Shooting is proudly brought to you by Cerakote Southwest, the only certified Cerakote applicator in Southwest Texas, specializing in custom Cerakote applications for firearms. With over 120 colors to choose from, visit CerakoteSW.com and order a custom Cerakote job for your firearm today. They also offer custom laser engraving and other services, and follow them on Instagram at Cerakote Southwest. And as always, right behind me, we've got some samples of some of their fine work, and they do beautiful work. And along those lines, I got a phone call today from Franco Baca to tell me that our Smith & Wesson M&P, that they are doing a custom job for the show, is complete, and he's going to be on the show next week, and we're going to present that firearm.
Good.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, what if you haven't watched the show? What I did was I gave him a copy of the logo, right, on a thumb drive.
Right.
And I said, other than the logo, go ahead and get
just go nuts.
Go nuts. Get as creative as you want. So I have no idea what the final product looks like.
I have an idea. I bet it's awesome.
Well, I'm sure it's awesome, yeah. And so he asked me if I wanted a sneak preview, and I said no. No, I said no. I said no. Bring it on the show, and we'll do the reveal on the show. All right. So with that, let me tell you what is on the show tonight. We've got, of course, our Guns in the News segment. We've got some very interesting stories tonight. One about another local story. Some homeowners in Albuquerque caught some people trying to break into their house, and there were shots fired. So we'll get into that. I've also got another shots fired story about a mother putting her infant child in the car after shopping at Walmart, and she was assaulted by an armed robber. Some good Samaritans came to her aid, and I'll tell you what the result of that was. And then in the gunsmithing job of the week, you've got a very interesting firearm over there. Tell me a little bit about it, but what is it?
Well, we've got a side-by-side shotgun, and we'll get into it more later, but I did some stock bending for a guy so that it would fit him better. But we'll talk more about that.
I love side-by-side shotguns, just one of the classic styling of firearms. I just get a picture of, like, the mid-18th century out duck hunting and with, our fox hunting with our dogs and our double-barrel shotguns. So
yeah, or, like in a week or two when you go with me.
We are going to go dove hunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a part of me that just feels bad about killing birds. Can we give them to somebody that will eat them?
I always make sure somebody eats them,
right.
because I'm a responsible hunter and I never shoot anything that doesn't get eaten.
Excellent. Then I'm on board. Let's go shoot a bunch of birds.
Right. I don't eat them because they taste gross, but...
for that you get a real shot. Hey, and then for the gun of the week, we have a pair of very interesting firearms, a pair of historic firearms.
Yeah, one is yours and one is mine.
Yeah. We're talking about the Nagant model 1895 revolver. Of course, has a very significant place in history during World War II. A very interesting cartridge that it shoots, a 7.62, but not just any 7.62. Very interesting design. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later. That's our gun of the week. And then finally, and you show me yours, I'll show you mine. We're going to talk about this 22 caliber.
I love this stuff.
I know you do. And I know why you love it. So that's going to be our you show me yours, I'll show you mine. We have a little video of that to play. Now, before we get into the news, one of the great things about Drake Fine Sporting Arms of El Paso, which you can visit at dfsa.us, is that it's a great place just to come and hang out. As you see, we got a nice audience tonight. People just love to come and hang out. You got some nice sofas. People talk about firearms. They discuss the firearms that you have here on the store shelves. And I often pop in from time to time with a camera. And so I popped in the other day and started just firing some snapshots away. And
so let me explain real quick, just so you guys don't think that this is a normal occurrence around here. We don't spray paint stuff. And I actually have this rifle sitting right here, but this was a special job. This was, we had this rifle. It's not a great rifle. It's a Remington 710, which not an expensive rifle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we had this thing sitting around, and we thought, what can we do to this thing? So Steven said, hey, man, let's make it all snipery.
Right.
So we took it and ripped it apart and put a spray job on it. You know, it looks pretty good.
It does look pretty good. You put one of your custom muzzle brakes on it.
We can throw a picture in if you want.
I got one.
You got one?
I got one,
okay.
Absolutely.
You got a finished product picture?
No, I don't have a finished product, but if Steve would bring it over and just put it right in front here.
Well, so it came out pretty neat for what it is. You know, it was just one of those things that we thought, hey, let's get creative. I'm just going to kind of point it that way, Felix. But you guys
just point it right at me. That'd be fantastic.
Hang on, I'll fix it. There we go. It's
and there's a good look at the break. I think you did a fantastic. Someone's going to love that rifle.
It's not a bad rifle for what it is. You know what
this
I mean?
is the view from out back. By the way, I wanted to just throw that in there.
We do have a beautiful view here. You know, you can see the thunderstorms coming forever.
Hey, I am going to pause it here on the last photo, one that I put up on Facebook, on your Facebook page, which got a lot of attention and a lot of comments. And it's not that one, it's the next one.
Right here, let me get this out of the way.
Please do. It's this one of you with this AR-15. I don't know if your spouse saw it on your Facebook page. Everybody commented on this one because you've got a love-hate relationship with AR-15s.
ARs make me sad.
And you don't look very happy about having that AR.
You just caught me at the perfect moment, you know.
It's a good photo.
Like a sad Keanu thing going on.
Hey, we're going to get into news here just momentarily. I just want to remind everybody that it's not too late for them to come into the shop and enter the gun giveaway that you have going on for the Remington 700.
Right, yeah. If you didn't catch it, it's on our Facebook page. It's pinned to the top of our Facebook page. So go to our Facebook page and share the post.
Right.
And it's an automatic entry for a chance to win this rifle.
If you're not in the area, just go to the Facebook page, share the post. You're automatically entered. If you are in the area, you can stop in the shop. You buy anything, buy a box of this 22 caliber ammo. You get your name put in the fishbowl.
There is an unlimited amount of entries. So every time you buy something, every time you share the post, you get a chance to win.
And it's a beautiful rifle. You don't want to miss out. That's a great gun giveaway. I'm happy that you're doing
about it. So
that's
Drake FSA on Facebook.
Right.
Just search us out.
It's very easy to find us and find the show, and pretty soon we're going to have a website dedicated to the show. I purchased the name straightshootingshow.com. Give me a couple weeks to work on the design, and then that'll be your one-stop shop for everything having to do with the show. And with that, it's time to get into the news.
This week in firearms news and current events.
All right, so as I mentioned at the top of the show, we got a couple of really interesting stories. This first one, now, as a local homeowner, I find these stories highly interesting. It's just a concern, you know. I wish we lived in a safe world. We have homeowners here, and this particular set of homeowners, elderly couple, were on their way to church. They pull out of the driveway, as you'll see here momentarily, and the husband notices a strange car driving down the street. Now, this is incredible because the neighbors here obviously have some sort of security or surveillance camera, and then they get a shot of the suspects. There were two of them, a female and a male. So let's watch the video, and then we'll discuss it a little bit more.
An Albuquerque family faced a nightmare in their own driveway. They returned home to find a stranger parked in front of their house and a gun pointed right at them. These Northeast Albuquerque homeowners quite literally dodged a bullet. Police say this morning an attempted burglary turned life-threatening when a criminal opened fire in that driveway. Brittany Costello spoke with those victims. She joins us now live downtown with that story. Brittany, luckily, no one was hurt.
Yeah, that's right, Kasha. Those homeowners were heading to church when they noticed a suspicious vehicle passing through their neighborhood. Something didn't feel right, but they didn't know that feeling would end up putting their lives in danger, leaving a suspect roaming our streets. It's not something you ever plan for, looking danger in the eye, or in this case, staring down the wrong end of a handgun. But this is reality for Bill Thompson. This woman, her white Camry, is sitting in his driveway.
And didn't even think about a gun. Just never, we're not that type of people, so we didn't think about it.
He says it started as a normal Sunday. Him and his wife walked out of their home to go to church when a red flag went up. It was a white car, unfamiliar to his neighborhood.
He slowed down and stayed at that stop sign as I was coming down the steps.
With that feeling in his gut, he decided to leave and come back. Sure enough, that white car passed by twice before pulling into their driveway.
We weren't prepared. They were there. And then my thought was to block them in.
He says it seemed this woman was trying to break in, but that attempted crime took a very ugly turn.
This is what happens when animals are caged in and they're cornered. They act like animals.
Caged and possibly angry, this woman doesn't leave before doing the unexpected. Thompson's wife reaches for her phone when a bullet comes flying in her direction.
As she drove away, she turned and fired a shot at my wife, reaching for her phone.
And your wife was right
here. She was right here.
Yeah, holy
bullet
crap, man.
hit right here.
Right there.
Missing her by mere inches.
She almost killed my wife. And all we had with us was a Bible. She had a gun, we had a Bible. But maybe that's all we needed.
Police do not know who
as you can see there, a really, a scary story.
Yeah.
So they decided to turn around. They noticed the car, a strange car. They didn't have any idea that the car was going to pull into their driveway.
Right.
They had just seen it driving down the neighborhood, and he decides to block that car in. Now, I have read 3 stories with a similar MO. You notice there was a female that got out of the car, but there was a male occupant in the passenger seat. And it's happened in Texas twice, where a female will walk up to the door of a home, knock on the door, ask, I don't know, to use the phone or what, I don't know what they say, but a female approaches the door, knocks on the door because, I guess a female is maybe less suspicious or less, intimidating. But once the homeowner opens the door, then the male accomplices will come and force their way into the home. I've seen it twice, 2 or 3 stories, and I think this was going to be a similar MO. And so as the homeowner blocked her in, as you saw, she pulled a firearm, points it at him. Now the homeowners were not armed. If it was me, that's a different story. Maybe me or you. If the gun's pointed at me, I don't know if I have time to draw or if I'm in my car. How I can draw the weapon on them. But that's a very serious situation. So the guy decides, the homeowner, as you saw, decides to pull out of the way. The criminals take off, the suspects, and as they're leaving, the female fires a shot at the wife. She's reaching for her cell phone, and as you saw, just missed her by inches. I don't know. How would you handle that situation?
He probably made the right choice to move the car, and I would have probably vacated the whole area, honestly, and just let them leave. But you don't want to, especially if you're unarmed. I mean, if you're armed even, you don't want to confront people like that. Just let them go.
Yeah.
My favorite saying, no blood, no foul.
And they had a tremendous good video of surveillance video of the suspects.
Right. They had everything that they needed. They probably had the license plate in the video and all that stuff. So just get out of there. Yeah. Don't cause any more trouble than you need, and just let it go at that. Let the cops take care of it, and don't pick a fight, which is kind of what this guy did.
He kind of did by boxing him in. He kind of picked a fight, and that's
Well, no, I mean, in the end, he got out of the way. He tried to let him go without any problems. Of course, they shot at his wife. So anyway, the guy, he tried to do the right thing and get out of the way. Just let it go. You know what I mean, and take care of it later on. But when they popped the shot at his wife,
It's something that I do. Is I'm leaving the home, going to work, coming home. I'm always trying to notice the vehicles. You know, I know my neighbor's cars.
Right.
I even recognize vehicles from around the corner. And when there's a vehicle I don't recognize, I'll take a double look. I'll take it. Yeah.
Sure.
We've got even more people.
We do. We've got our friends coming in as we speak.
Standing room only for the show.
You heard the applause at the beginning. It was amazing.
Yeah, this is great. All right, so let's move on to our next story here. This one is just another eye-opener. And there is a video. Let me play the video. It's a 30-second video. It's not that great. The video, there it goes, if it even plays. But this one happened in Kansas. A mother. Here we go.
They have their man, a suspect wanted in an attack outside a Shawnee Walmart that left another suspect dead. Johnson County prosecutors today charging Arthur Wyatt III with attempted first-degree murder and other related crimes. He'd been on parole for involuntary manslaughter and drug crimes. Prosecutors say Wyatt and another man attacked a woman while she was putting her baby in the car in the Walmart parking lot off Shawnee Mission Parkway near I-435. 2 Good Samaritans went to the aid of the woman. One of those Good Samaritans was wounded. A second Good Samaritan was armed and shot the second suspect, John Simmons, who died at the scene.
Okay, so 2 suspects.
2 Good Samaritans. Did he say 2 suspects?
Oh, that's what I gathered. He said he shot the second suspect who died, and then the other gentleman was wounded. Gentleman, I use that term loosely. If you attack a woman in a Walmart parking lot, you are no gentleman, sir.
No, and the woman, that is the most vulnerable type of person that we have in society. A woman with a child, putting the child away in the baby seat. Someone comes up from behind her armed, ready to rob her.
Right.
And fortunately, these Good Samaritans stepped in and one shot and killed. And it's just another example. This is one thing, I know we don't like to get political on the show, but one of the problems I have with the media coverage of gun-related stories, when a gun is involved, is very rarely do they highlight where a Good Samaritan with a gun steps in and, so to speak, saves the day.
Right.
There's this one here. There was the one in Florida, I think it was, or in Arizona, where a highway patrol officer was getting beaten to death.
Yep, and a guy stopped.
Got out with his firearm and stopped that situation. So it's a responsibility that you take on as a gun owner or a concealed carry permit holder, that in a life or death situation, if you see someone, being robbed with, where a firearm is involved, that to me is a life or death situation. And I think, that is a great balance when the police are not there, right? When minutes count, or when seconds count, police are minutes away. That's what the saying goes. So now you can imagine when your daughter was young and your spouse may be shopping and gets robbed by an armed robber. I would like a responsible citizen with a firearm, to step in.
Right.
Of course, absolutely. So just another story of. But let's lighten it up real quick. I know you said you only wanted to do 2 stories, but let's just mention this one real quick. So you've got the Antifa guys.
So this is the troll video.
Okay. So we've got these Antifa. You've seen it on the news lately with the Charlottesville protests and whatnot. On the left side, you've got these Antifa, which stands for anti-fascist. They're against the government, and so there are social media pages that they all gather on. But there are also spoof social media pages, which are satirical in nature. And one of the jokes on social media
it's time for the gunsmithing job of the week.
They don't know how to handle firearms. They're not very, up to date on firearms. And so this video, this guy, I'll just show the first 30 seconds, is kind of making fun of him. So he disguises himself as kind of this left-wing Antifa, and he calls it his clock. His gun is his clock instead of a Glock. He calls it his clock tutorial.
Hey fellow resistors and non-genders, this is Zoltan with Arizona Antifa, resist. So just today, one of our fellow resistors got a brand new Glock 19 Austria 9x19, which is the gun that I have, so it's pretty cool. We're like twinsies. So anyways, they asked me to do a quick tutorial, and some tips on how to load the gun and stuff. So as you can see, I don't have the clip in there right now.
Yeah. He does. He violates every cliche about the people that don't know how to handle firearms. He calls it a clip instead of a magazine. A little bit later, he puts the magazine in backwards, things of that nature. And they're just basically poking fun at, at the left, the Antifa guys on the left. And I thought it was pretty funny. I'm going to throw up the link to that on our Facebook page and on the YouTube when the YouTube goes up.
It was a funny video. I mean, yeah, the guy was obviously trolling, but
yeah. Now you and I are twinsies.
We are twinsies. Yeah,
Look at this. We'll talk about that a little bit later. That gets a laugh. I think.
Is that the you show me yours?
It is, yeah. But before we do that, we're going to get into the gun.
Ours look exactly the same.
Yeah. We're going to get into the gunsmithing job of the week.
It's time for the Gunsmithing Job of the Week.
All right, so as we mentioned, for the Gunsmithing Job of the Week, we got this beautiful double-barrel shotgun.
This thing is really nice, man. This is a Spanish double in 28 gauge.
Wow.
And the gentleman brought it to me, and it wasn't very comfortable when he fired it, kind of snap shooting in a hunting situation. So,
may I interrupt?
Sure.
What would you use a 28 gauge for? That seems like a pretty small.
It's a sub gauge.
Yeah.
They're not super popular with people, but the 16, 28, 410. Those smaller gauge shotguns are still out there and very popular, and they make it really sporting for bird hunting. Probably
extremely light recoil.
Lighter recoil, but it's more of a challenge. A smaller shell and less shot makes it a little bit more challenging for the bird hunt.
So tell me a bit about the work that you did. I know you said that they wanted the stock bent.
Yeah. So what we did was this gentleman, it wasn't particularly fitting him correctly. So what we did was come in and bend the stock more down here.
Oh, I gotcha.
This is called the drop of the stock. And so what we did was bent this down about a half an inch so that it hit the shoulder in the proper spot when he brought it up, and then brought it over to the left about a half an inch so that his eye was in line with the rib of the shotgun.
Now, what is involved? How do you do that? How do you bend a stock?
It's a process of heating. And you have to heat the wood to a certain temperature so that it becomes, flexible, basically malleable, I guess is not the right word for wood. But anyway, the fibers of the wood actually become flexible, and you can manipulate those fibers. And then once they cool, they stay into that position.
And is there any danger in breaking a firearm, breaking the stock while you do that work? I mean, it's got to require some skill to do that.
Yeah, it's more of a feel thing, honestly. I mean, you don't want to push it too far, too fast. There is always a risk involved that something could give, but gentle is the name of the game when you're doing something like that.
And how many hours would it take to do that type of job?
For something like that, it runs about around 2 hours worth of labor, because you can only really bend in one direction at a time.
Right.
Or I only bend in one direction at a time.
That particular shotgun has got a lot of ornate work done to it.
Yeah, it's a really nice piece of wood here.
And the engraving on it is quite beautiful. What is the manufacturer of that?
This is let me look, man. You got me.
Because I've seen some of those.
Ugartechea. It's a Spanish company.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. So this one is called an Upland Classic by Ugartechea.
Orale, that sounds very nice.
Oh, you're going into your other character.
Oh, yes, I like that shotgun. Yes, we go do some hunting, some coyotes, some chupacabra. It's an absolutely beautiful shotgun. I would love to try a 28 gauge. It's too bad that we can't test fire, right? You didn't do any work where you need to test fire it.
I didn't.
I always like it when you do a gunsmithing job.
I've got a treat for you. When we go out dove hunting, I've got a little 410 side by side that I'll let you hunt with.
All right, that sounds like fun.
You want to talk about challenging? You can try and shoot dove with the 410, and then when you get tired of that, I'll hand you my 12 gauge and I'll trade with you.
Hey, one of the things I like to do when we have the studio audience is pass around the firearm that we've got here, the gunsmithing job of the week, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It looks like
something else to note too is that the guy is actually left-handed, so we have to bend this thing the opposite direction of a right-handed shooter. So I don't know if you guys can see it on camera.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're saying that you bent it down and you angled it?
I angled the stock off to the left here so that it comes up properly in front of his eye. And if you look down the rib of the barrels here, you can actually see that the stock is bent off to the side.
Can you guys see that? Can you see this? It's bent from there?
Yeah.
That's
so
really
that's just part of fitting, and that's a kind of a traditional way to fit. Now we've got modern technology. We can put those adjustable butt plates and all that stuff on there, but for a classic looking shotgun and to do it the traditional way, that's the way you got to do it.
Very beautiful job. Another great gunsmithing job. That beautiful 28 gauge double barrel. We can pass it around there to the studio audience.
Give it to Steven.
And as we do that, it's time to get into our gun of the week. Okay, so tonight we've got a pair of very beautiful, interesting, and historic firearms. This is the Nagant 1895 revolver. It shoots a 7.62 Nagant cartridge. And before we get into the actual firearm, we might as well talk about the cartridge, and we'll pass this around as well.
It's interesting. You should put a picture in the video of it.
We will put a picture. And so what you notice here, and if the audience can see from there, we'll pass this around. It doesn't appear as if there is a bullet. There is. The bullet is actually seated down inside the cartridge.
Right.
And the reason for that is that the 1895 Nagant, the design, when you, and I can do it here, when you cock the hammer back, as you see, the cylinder
actually moves forward,
moves forward and closes that space between the barrel and the cylinder, which traditionally with a revolver, that gas escapes. But with this firearm, it seats forward and closes that space, and that's part of the reason why they have the bullet down in the cartridge to help that situation with the pressure. Now, have you ever fired one of these?
I have, yeah.
You said your trigger pull is not too bad, but the trigger pull on these is absolutely horrendous.
Yeah, they're like 4,000 pounds for the double action. For the single action, it's only like 2,000 pounds. It's not bad. But, it's not, it's not impossible to overcome.
It's not. Now, what I enjoy shooting about this firearm is the historic value. It's nostalgic.
I just want to say that I cleared that before we started the show, so I knew there was nothing in there. I just want you guys to know that.
They were cleared. Unlike other revolvers, though, the cylinder doesn't just pop out.
Right.
It's there's a lot. You got to kind of take it apart. But very interesting firearm. Now, let me try your trigger. I'm going to hand you mine. Mine is a 1935, either 33 or 35 model. And what year is this?
1918.
Holy moly. Yeah, actually, it's got about the same trigger pull. It's a very heavy trigger pull. And but you'll notice, if you ever saw the movie Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law, set in Stalingrad, World War II, you'll see a bunch of these in that film.
And the funny thing about ours is these are both officers' models, so they're single action and double action.
Well, naturally they're officer model. Of course, you don't think you and I would stoop to the level of an enlisted soldier carrying something like that? No, absolutely not. Very gorgeous firearm. Let's pass this one around as well. Steve, would you be kind enough to?
Yeah, and there we go.
Pass one around. We're just passing one around because they're identical. So, but not a carry piece. It's not something you would carry for self-defense.
You could.
I mean, theoretically you could, but it'd be highly inaccurate because of the double action trigger pull. It holds 7 rounds. And I'm sorry, I'm going to put Steve to work again if you can pass around that cartridge. And if you'll also serve as security to make sure nobody loads that round into the firearm. And so, anyways, yeah, beautiful firearm. I'm going to show some photos of it on the YouTube video of this episode. Model 1895, just a gorgeous firearm, and that is our gun of the week. We'll take these out and shoot them sometime and make a little video of it. I got plenty of ammunition. So, and with that, let's move on to our last segment of the night, and that's You Show Me Yours, I'll Show You Mine.
You show me yours, I'll show you mine.
We've been wanting to talk about this ammunition for a few weeks. You were pretty excited when you first got it on store shelves. It's not something...
I was excited because I found it. You can't find it.
I've never seen it on in any other stores. I've never seen it online, although I'm sure it's out there. It is the Aguila 22 caliber Sniper Subsonic. Now tell me why you decided to carry this in the shop. What is special about this?
I love this stuff, man. It's accurate and it's hard hitting, man. This stuff is a 60 grain 22. It's a 60 grain bullet in a 22 short case. It makes it super interesting. So it'll fire out of those 22 long rifles.
So in the little casing here, which is about 2/3 the size of a normal casing, it's got more grains than a regular 22.
Well, not so much the powder, but the bullet grains.
The bullet grains.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So a 60 grain bullet, whereas the normal 22 is, between 30 and 40 grains.
Right. You can see, I mean, this bullet is big for a 22.
Right. Yeah.
Now, what are the advantages of something like that?
Okay, it's heavy, and even though it's a subsonic round, the weight of the bullet will actually cycle semi-automatic pistols and rifles.
Right. And we did take it out and shoot it. And let's show, before we continue talking about it, let's show this quick little video of us shooting this round. So we took out a couple of different 22 caliber firearms. This is a standard Ruger 1022.
Right.
And we brought some Winchester, some normal 22 caliber ammunition. And this is out at our favorite shooting spot there on the west side. And it cycled extremely well. It cycled well. It was accurate. And the one thing I noticed about it, and this is one of the reasons why I know you love it so much.
I love that smell.
Is that the powder burns quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
And you'll kind of get that not sulfur smell. What's that smell?
I love that smell.
Like the cordite.
The cordite smell. Yeah, you'll definitely get a lot of cordite smell from it.
So that's a normal 22, right?
Right, that's a normal 22. And we're shooting it through a Smith & Wesson M&P 22 caliber.
I love that smell.
And I think this is the subsonic. And now this is the subsonic through here. And you see, you can fire rapid fire. We didn't have a single hiccup with it.
No.
I had some feeding problems, but it was because of my magazines, not because of the ammunition.
Yeah, I've never shot this stuff in any semi-automatic pistol or rifle where it had trouble cycling, which you don't really get out of those subsonic rounds.
Yeah.
But the neat thing about this stuff is when you hit a target with it, it hits like a real bullet, man. It's not like a normal 22, you know?
Right. It's with the 22 caliber, you know, you're talking about shooting squirrels or, you know, rats or possum or that sort of thing. But this 22 caliber, you could probably take down maybe a small coyote.
I had a customer come back and tell me he wanted 5 more boxes of this stuff because he shot a coyote at 75 meters and killed it.
Oh, you're kidding?
No.
Wow.
No.
You'll see that the bullet on it is quite large. Now, what is the cost difference between this and other 22
Not much.
calibers?
This stuff runs about $6.75 for a box of 50.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, for what you get out of it, I think it's great stuff.
And people will recognize that brand name Aguila. They've been making, they're kind of known for 22 LR.
Oh, yeah.
And so very interesting round. When you shoot it, you'll definitely smell it, which is one of the things you love about it.
I do love that smell, man. I love it when it burns your eyes.
I love that smell.
It's a hard hitting round.
It is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know me. I don't tout a product that I don't like.
Yeah.
I mean, if I don't like it, I'll never talk about it.
Well, I definitely enjoyed shooting it. It ran just fine through both of my 22 calibers. I'm going to take some boxes and continue shooting it. It's definitely a very cool, interesting round. And if you've got a 22, I recommend picking up a box and trying it out. It's different and it's fun, and I think you'll enjoy it. Hey, quick reminder to everybody. Now, we do broadcast live on Facebook.
Not the show.
Not the show.
Yeah,
I just want to let everybody know it is live, but it is kind of like a behind-the-scenes facsimile of the show. We do want to remind everybody to tune into YouTube. You can find the YouTube show late tonight after midnight. It'll be posted. You can go to your Facebook page, my Facebook page, go to mygundiary.com, and then, of course, coming soon will be straightshootingshow.com. And with that, we end another great episode. That's our 5th episode.
Yeah, you know, I just realized that like 50% of my job over here is I just sit here. You remember Handsome Dan from the Wayne's World?
Yeah. Well, you are handsome. Hey, thanks for joining us on another great episode of Straight Shooting Firearms Talk Show. Remember, next week we've got the big reveal of our M&P 9mm with the custom Cerakote job from our sponsor, Cerakote SW. We want to thank everybody for watching and thank our studio audience. And we'll see you next time.
You see, I'm doing it again.
Stay tuned for the next episode of Straight Shooting when we take another shot.